Hey guys, so today I debuted Sun Loaf. Ooh, it's hard to do it in the horizontal because I don't, but Sun Loaf, which I'm really excited about. I had melon sun yesterday, sun melon, and it was fine. I don't know. I mean, it was just one of those things where it was like, I feel like maybe it's almost there, but something doesn't. It needs to be sort of rejiggered. And I talk about this all the time on my Patreon. But this is just the creative process, Every day you have to, I liken it to photography. Photographers aren't necessarily any better at taking pictures than anybody else. They just take more pictures. So if you take 10,000 pictures, then yeah, 5 are going to be good probably, right? So that's the way that I look at my creative process. Just do it, and then you'll get some hits, right? So I'm hoping Sun Loaf is going to be that for me. I wish you could see him right now. He's looking pretty zen right there. Sun Loaf. That's pretty good. I should take a video of that. I mean, I am taking a video of that, but I mean a short form video. That's good. That's good stuff. You're telling me that if Sun Loaf doesn't blow up, I'm retiring and I'm doing something else. I'm just joking around. But seriously, come on, look at this. This is great stuff. It's just frustrating, because you put yourself out there every day, you humiliate yourself, and it just feels like you're butting your head against the wall over and over again. It's ridiculous. But anyway, the reason I wanted to make this video was because actually of something that happened to me while I was in production of Sun Loaf, and I'm not really sure what to make of it, and I was hoping that you guys could help me out. It's sort of a moral dilemma, and it's not like my normal moral dilemmas, which are, I killed this guy, or I killed a kid, and blah blah, and I don't feel bad about it. Been there, done that, right? This is actually a real moral dilemma that is nuanced, and I need help because honestly I'm starting to feel like a bad person for what happened. So I was at this, I don't want to move Sun Loaf because that's a good position and I want to remember that. I was going to the store because, like I said, yesterday I did melon sun. And I had a couple of different options, right? So I ended up going with a honeydew, but, and I guess I could demonstrate for you right here. It's very wet for some reason. I hope it's not leaking all over my car seat. But anyway, I had melon sun yesterday. Which was funny because I ended up, at first I tried to super glue the head to the melon. And then I realized I could just stick a chopstick in there, put the head on top of the chopstick. There you go, melon sun. But it took a while to eventually land on the honeydew because I knew that I wanted a melon. But I tried, I thought watermelon, and but with this. That's pretty good, actually. That's not bad. That could be something. Okay, put a pin in that. That would have to be watermelon sun. So yesterday I had melon sun melon, and today I was sort of like, well, now what? Let's keep yes-anding this idea. How does this evolve? Where's the next place that this can go? So I went to the store and I was just I was thinking along the lines of, okay, what can we put a head on top of the baby head that would be compelling, right? Or that would have some sort of kind of thematic significance. So I was sort of just browsing around. I started with produce because fruits and vegetables typically are very funny. And at first I thought maybe cucumber sun, something of that nature. I was looking around at a bunch of cucumbers and organic versus non-organic. Some of them have the curvature, so I thought that could be funny. Cucumber sun with the curve. And I still might do that. That's definitely, put a pin in that one. Don't let anybody steal that. But it just wasn't, I was just like, I don't know. I like the vertical. I like that it's a big vertical stick almost with the head on top. Slow down. You're gonna kill somebody. I like that it's the vertical with the head. What else is vertical? And I was just sort of looking around, and I looked at the bakery, and I saw they had baguettes there. So I said, okay, there we go. That's interesting. And they also have these nice baguettes that are sort of pointy, so it's the perfect, not to show you too much about how the sausage is made, but it just goes on there very easily like that. There you go. Sun loaf. So I got two. I always like to have options, right? And you never know what could happen. I mean, one of them could snap in half, or I've learned that over the years, of doing this, doing this every single day for multiple years. I've learned sort of the tricks of the trade. So I did get two baguettes, and I had them in each hand like this. I felt very French, I felt like a background character in Beauty and the Beast, right? Or one of those Disney films where they'll have baguettes, All I had were two baguettes, two things, right? And so I walked up to the checkout, and this is sort of a smaller mom and pop grocery store, so they don't have self-checkouts. And as a matter of fact, a lot of places are starting to do away with the self-checkouts, I guess, because of people like me who shoplift all the time, right? Don't tell anybody I said that, right? But people like me who shoplift all the time, so they're starting to get rid of them, even at Target and all these places. And I'm thinking, you're crazy, But they don't have any self-checkouts at this mom and pop grocery store. So a lot of times they only have one. Typically what it looks like happens is they'll have one person on the register. If the line backs up, then the guy who's in the back sucking his own dick will come out, get off his phone and say, all right, I'll open a register to help out a couple of people to relieve the main person. So I was standing back in the, back of the line, waiting. And I was getting pretty, when I am in a creative frenzy like that, when I have an idea and I know exactly what to do, it's just a matter of doing it. I am like a dog with a bone. I am like, roar, 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 and I'm running as fast as I can. Nothing's going to get in between me and my bone. So I sort of forget everything. Now, I'm not saying that I was being selfish or that I forgot everybody around me, but I had tunnel vision, because I know that this could be, I don't know how well it's going to pay off, but I think every idea could be a hawk too. I get to that place with every single thing that I post. I like to look at it and say, this could be the greatest social media post in the history of the world. And I genuinely believe that every single time. Now, what the world chooses to do with it after I put it out there remains to be seen. And sometimes the world is wrong. I saw that with virtual sin forgiveness. I put that out there. Nothing. And it got maybe 80 views on TikTok. And so I was like, all right, well, I guess flop, on to the next thing. Forgot all about it. 6 months later, all of a sudden, everybody's got virtual sin forgiveness fever. Look at this funny priest who did the funny thing, right? 6 months later. So I never know. Same thing with Cocky Want Boing Boing, right? I posted that one night, just sort of completely as an afterthought. I thought just business as usual. Posted that. Nothing really. I mean, it did fine, but I thought, again, it was not out of the ordinary. Wasn't until later that night, all of a sudden it became the biggest sensation ever to hit Twitter, So you never know. And that's why I try not to get too hung up on one thing's performance in particular. I just keep chugging away, And eventually it will happen. That's always the advice that I give to people who are trying to make it on social media. And I really shouldn't be saying this for free, but the best advice I can give you is just do it and just keep doing it over and over and over again. Eventually something's going to work. That's just probability. Those are just the odds of probability, you know. So anyway, I had my 2 baguettes and I was in creative mode. And there were a lot of people in front of me who had full carts of groceries. You know, they were doing their grocery shopping for the whole week or a whole month. And one of the people was an old lady. And I did not notice that yet, but that is going to be important at the end of the story. I would say that there were quite a few people ahead of me in line. There were maybe 3 or 4 people ahead of me. Most of them, if not all of them, had either full carts of groceries or full baskets of groceries. So I was like, well, hopefully they need to get somebody else here. That's the reason why they have the express checkout and the regular checkout, right? Grocery stores have thought of this. I only have 2 things. It makes absolutely no sense that I should have to wait 30 minutes behind people who have 20,000 things, literally. It makes no sense that I should have to waste my whole afternoon waiting behind those people. I am totally serious. I believe that grocery stores should, I believe that grocery stores should prioritize the line on how long it is going to take you to move through it. And they agree with me. That's why they have the express checkout. 15 items or less or 10 items or less. That's why they have that. And they don't have anything like that at this grocery store in particular because it's a mom and pop grocery store. So, again, a lot of times what will happen, typically I'm sort of a forager, I guess. I'm a sporadic shopper. So when I go grocery shopping, I maybe only get 2 or 3 things at a time. The way that my brain works, you know, because there's a grocery store right down the street from my house. So I don't have foresight at all with anything in my life, let alone groceries. So when I think of something I need, I just go to the store and get the one thing that I need. So very, very often, almost every single time that I'm at the grocery store, I only have 1 or 2 things. And most people will very kindly, most people who have a full cart of groceries and who are in front of me will let me go in front of them. And which is the right thing to do. And I would do that if I had a full cart of groceries, but I don't. I'm getting mad thinking about this. So, you know, I'm waiting behind these people, and then the guy who's in the back sucking his own dick comes out, and he's like, oh my God, it's busy. Oh, sorry. I guess I got to get up off my ass and actually work. So he goes up to I'm sorry, I'm really trying. I was watching a lot of my old videos yesterday, and I have to say, I was not a very sympathetic character in most of them. And I think that was just because, you know, I mean, I don't know. I with that kind of stuff, that's part of the reason why I want to ask about this. Because I am starting to genuinely worry that I'm becoming a selfish person. All of these things keep happening to me. I don't know if maybe it's because I'm getting famous, you know, or I'm living in LA, I'm in a bubble, you know. But I feel like it's affecting my behavior. You know, I always look at these entitled jackasses who are rich, and I'm not rich, but maybe one day, right? I mean, at this rate, if Brad's son, Loaf's son, at the rate I'm cranking this stuff out, it is going to be Dan Henschel fever sweeping the nation by the end of this year. Let alone the end of the decade, right? Who knows where I could be? I am going to, like I've said in many videos before, I am going to do things no one has ever done before. Case in point, Loaf's son, right? Melon's son. This is groundbreaking stuff here. So, but at the same time, I always looked at people who had sort of success in you know, Hollywood or wherever, who end up being very entitled, you know. And you think, how does somebody get to a point where they behave like this. You know, how does somebody allow themselves to have their personality go that unchecked, that they become a raging maniac monster like that? And things have started to happen to me recently. You know, I was I told you in a past video about the situation with a guy who called me the F slur, and I am sorry to anybody who was offended that I said that actual word. The reason why I think that I'm allowed to say it is because someone called me it. I think if somebody shouts that word at you in public, you are allowed to say it. That's the way I look at it. But I'm sure a lot of people disagree with me, right? If you are called a slur, well, maybe there's some exceptions to that, but with that one in particular, I do think that that's a good barometer. But with that thing, I will admit, part of me was like, well, was that guy right? I mean, I was driving fast. I was riding his ass. I mean, I don't think he was right to call me a slur, but, you know, it's just these things are starting to happen that are sort of like canaries in the coal mine for me. And I'm concerned I don't want to end up a jerk. You know, I mean, yeah, sure, you can be funny, you can be famous, you can be all these things, but I want to be one of those guys who, you know, when they ask the question, who's the nicest celebrity, I fantasize about the top answer being, oh my gosh, I met Dan Henschel at the airport, he was the sweetest guy. Everybody who's ever worked with Dan Henschel says that he's the nicest guy in the whole world. That's what I want. And I always thought that I was a nice person, and I think that I am, but there are also, I think that there are a lot of times where I am unjustly not considered that. And that's why I'm grateful that it's getting kind of hot in here. That's why I'm grateful that I have an audience of people that I can sort of present these situations to. Because gaslighting, I spent the whole first couple years of my career delving into gaslighting, right? Exploring it as a concept. And gaslighting relies on someone else creating your worldview so that you believe that they are right. The thing that gaslighting's worst enemy is other people who are not involved. Gaslighting's worst enemy is a third party, unless they also are gaslighting you. Then it becomes gaslighting with more people. But that's why. So if I am wrong, tell me, and we will see. I wish that there was a way that we could do a vote or something. Maybe somebody could comment. You know, one of these people who always comment without even watching the video. Maybe if you could actually do something useful for once instead of saying, Dan, will you first? You know, I'm first. Somebody comment, Dan is right, and somebody comment, Dan is wrong, separately. It can be the same person if you want, but please. If you are watching this and you scroll down and there's already somebody who said it, don't mix it up, because then we're going to lose track of the tally. Try to keep one designated comment. I'm asking you all, please behave yourselves. Try to designate one comment that says Dan is right, another Dan is wrong, and depending on which one you agree with, give it a like, and then we'll see. We'll get a tally. You know, and you don't have to be yes men or women or thems. You can just be honest. I want to know. I want you to be honest. So anyway, I had my 2 loaves. Guy comes out of the back, you know, and he opens another register and he says, I can help the next person right over here. So I took my 2 loaves and I went over. And I sat my 2 loaves on the thing. I didn't make eye contact with anybody because I do believe that it was fair. It's fair that I should be the one, because I had the least amount of things. I go over there and I'm feeling that there's some sort of social commotion behind me. You know, I'm not really looking, but I'm very good at taking the temperature of the room, so I can feel that there's sort of something going on there. But it's like, just check out my 2 fucking loaves and then I'll be gone. You know, and then the usual proceedings, you know, do you want a bag? Do you want your receipt? It's going very, very fast. I was done by the time anybody even realized that I was even there. There's another guy behind me who also has maybe a can of sardines or something. He came up, you know, behind me, and then there was another guy who was his friend or something. I don't know. he makes a big point. Now there's a fucking guy with his weed whacker. Wow. I bet y'all missed this, right? Dan's explosions of anger at the passerby, right? Dan tropes. Where is it coming from? Lawn maintenance. You know how I feel about lawns in Southern California. They're archaic. They need to be done away with. I think I'm going to become a lawn terrorist, and I'm going to start pouring bleach on people's lawns, and then so that they'll replant natives. Of course, they won't actually do that, right? Anyway, there was a commotion going on behind me, and the guy who was a big muscular, he's one of those guys who I think wants to seem like a good person, right? Even if it extends past rationality. And I was thinking also maybe I should make this an Am I the Asshole post on Reddit, because I think this is a good dilemma. I think people would really eat it up over there. He said to the old lady in front of him, the old lady who had an entire cart full of things, and 2 weeks worth of food, 2 months worth of food. He said, he didn't say it outright, but I could tell that the way that he was saying it was, I'm not going to be like this selfish bread guy who went ahead of you with his 2 loaves, even though you were chronologically here first. I'm not going to be like him. And he said, go right ahead. Please go, because people were deciding which line to go in. So he was like, please, like he was Prince Charming. And he said, oh, please go, go ahead. I'll actually wait. I'll actually wait for you. And she was like, oh, are you sure? And there was the back and forth like, yes, of course, please. What I don't understand is, and then he looked at me because he only had a couple of things too. But now here's the thing. I am not somebody who's going to make a public. I didn't want to even respond because I wanted to prove that by the time I was going to be like a hummingbird, or by the time anybody even registered I was there, I'd be gone. So I just was like checking out, and I was not paying attention to those people, and the lady was like, do you want a bag? Do you want a receipt? No bag, no receipt. Just let me get the fuck out of here. The old lady starts, like coming over with her cart of 20 million things and gets behind me in the line. And then everybody, the guy's back there, and he's like, man, he must really be in a hurry. Talking about me, and he's saying, oh man, he must really be in a hurry, this guy. I don't want to, don't let me get in the way of the, of whatever, which I think is unfair. So that's why I want you all to tell me, look, I mean, I only had 2 things, 2 very cheap things, in and out. Just because I'm guessing that guy's chivalrous implication was that I should have let the old lady go in front of me by virtue of her being old and being there first. But it doesn't matter. Okay, so it doesn't matter. There is something called the butterfly effect, which is a scientific principle that states, in theory, if a butterfly flaps its wings, can that cause a chain reaction that leads to a hurricane, Hurricane Katrina forming in the Gulf of the Gulf of America, right? Not to get too topical, but isn't that orange man a little kind of crazy? I'm sure he's harmless, though. I'm sure nothing's actually going to happen, right? It'll be fine. Cheeto in chief. Maybe that could be a good video. Cheeto and maybe Cheetos. I could put a Cheeto under the head, paint it orange, be like, yes, Mr. President. That's pretty fucking good. I bet Randy Rainbow would be all up in that. Oh yeah, I'm going on Oprah with that one. That's a good one. Nobody steal that. Is Oprah still around? She still do the Oprah show? I never thought I'd be one of those old people who was like, you know, I made a reference to Ellen the other day, and this kid was like, huh? You know, and I was like, Ellen was a talk show host. And then all of a sudden I realized I always hated it when old people would say like, you know, it's like the Dick Clark show or whatever, some random name of some old guy, or Johnny Carson, you know, it's like he's on Johnny Carson. And I'd be like, shut up. Who the fuck is Johnny Carson? I mean, I know who Johnny Carson is because I'm a comedian, but who the fuck is this random person nobody gives a shit about that's irrelevant? Anyway, I'm realizing I'm becoming that, you know, because all of a sudden these things, you know, Ellen's not around anymore, and anyway, Jay Leno, David Letterman, these guys all used to be topical. Now they're not. It's funny how time works. But anyway, the butterfly effect, you know, if a butterfly flaps its wings, can it cause a Hurricane Katrina, you know, in the Gulf of America? Similarly, you know, if you were to go back in time travel to the age of the dinosaurs, if you stepped on a butterfly while you were traveled back in time, you stepped on a butterfly. Wait a minute, this is a short story. Now I'm remembering. Okay, I think the short story might even be called The Butterfly Effect. In the short story, the guy travels back in time to the age of the dinosaurs. He's walking along and he steps on a butterfly, just a little tiny butterfly, with his foot. The rest, they do whatever. He goes back to the future, his time. And when he gets there, all of a sudden everybody in America speaks Chinese or something. Or English is different. You know, English is like Celtic, old Celtic or something. And the implication is that, you know, that minuscule change, him killing that one butterfly, had all these unintended consequences. It's a pretty good short story. Good concept, right? But that's why I really don't think that it matters that the old lady was first chronologically. Because what time we both got to the store had so many other influences that I don't understand why people act like, well, because I was here first, I should be able to go before you, you know, because it has no time. We don't even know that time is real. Time, there are a lot of, you know, on Jupiter, a day is only 20 years or something of that nature, right? But my point being is, I don't think that time is a virtuous thing, right? That's pretty philosophical. Time does not equal virtue. So me getting there after you and you getting there first has no bearing on how much you deserve to go through the line. Because it's not like because you're a great person, you got to the store 10 minutes before me, you know. So that's why I think that there should at least be some consideration into how quickly, you know, how many things the person has, right? And normally there is. Like I said, they have the express checkout, but they don't have it at the store. So I was going by the rules that are established by stores everywhere. And so the time, I don't think it makes a big difference. Number two, I am sorry. I really don't, you know, if I was on the subway or I was, you know, we don't have very good public transportation here in Los Angeles, but if we did and I was on it, and I was sitting in a seat and an old lady came in and there were no other seats, of course I would get up and say, please sit in my seat, because that makes sense. She's weak and she's frail and she's on that could have a direct influence in how long she lives. If she has to strain herself anymore by not sitting, that could effectively kill her, or at the very least, butterfly effect, right? Cause her to die earlier than she otherwise would have, because of my inaction. So that to me is a moral act. I don't have to do it, right? But that would be the nice thing to do. Conversely, letting the old lady go before me at the store, even though I had the least amount of things, she was there first, but I had less things. I don't think that would have been moral, like Mr. Chivalry implied, And I don't need to. He only had 2 things too. But because it is more, because he wants to feel like a great person. He was fine cucking himself into line and saying, I'll just wait a half hour. Everybody, no, you go ahead too. You go ahead. You go ahead. Everybody go ahead of me. There's nothing that I hate more than people who just let things happen to them. I took initiative. That's why I have almost 300,000 YouTube followers. That's why I have almost 400,000 Twitter followers. That's why I have almost 500,000 Instagram followers. And that's why I had 2 million TikTok followers back in the day. Most people don't even remember that. When I got banned on TikTok 2 years ago, last year, 1 year ago, everybody said, this guy's done. They counted me out. And then I came back. And now most people don't even remember that I had a TikTok. Now most people don't even know. So anyway. Bread son. Loaf son. Ooh. I'm excited to check the numbers after this video. I've been filming for a long time. I'm excited to check the returns on that one. Yeah, so I would anyway, that's sort of just really all that happened. I left with the bread, and then the rest is history, right? But really, I'm just wondering what you all make of that moral query. And I've made my case. If there's anything that I remember, I think that I've said everything that's going to help you make your decision, but you're the jury, right? So I trust, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't really trust you all, to be honest. But I will be, let me put it this way, I'll be interested to hear what you have to say. All right. Have a great day.